Hello everyone, this is Eric Cox with Blue Penguin Productions. I've recently had the desire to put together a series of training videos for those of you that work with children, youth, and young adults. I personally have over 25 years of experience in these particular areas, and I've learned a lot from just personal experience. When I first began, there wasn't the internet, there weren't training videos, there weren't the resources available there are nowadays to help out. So I want to put together a video on something that has been a challenge for me at times, and that was how to create a successful event. Today we want to give you the tools to make sure that your next event is an absolute success. The first stage we want to discuss is the pre-planning stage. This is probably the most important part of setting up your event. First, you need to do a brainstorming session. Sit down with 2 or 3 members of your team who are highly creative and take about an hour for a brainstorming session. Sit down and say, what do we want our event to look like? What do we want to accomplish through our event? Put all those ideas on paper. That's going to be the foundation of your event. You need to set a budget. You need to have an expense estimate. Sit down and figure out how much you need for your food, for your activities, for your entertainment, those sort of things. If you're like me, you have to work within a budget. So it's wise to start from the beginning and figure out, prioritize what things you actually want to have to your event. And if you have some spare revenue, it gives you some flexibility on the other areas. You also need to create a timeline. And by timeline, you need to take and sit down and figure out every possible task you can think of that will need to be accomplished before your event. Put it down on paper, and then set your timeline up. Maybe 6 months, 3 months, 3 weeks, 3 days, and break up those tasks among that timeline of when you think they need to be accomplished. I actually have a timeline that extends out to about a year. And I actually have part of my timeline is the day of the event and even a couple hours before the event, because there will be those small, minute details that you need to double check before your event starts. Now, the next section we want to talk about is the preparation, or as I lovingly call it, the perspiration stage. Okay, that's lame, I know. I digress. First thing you need to do is pull your resources. And by that, you need to sit back and think, who do I know who can help me organize this event? Who do I know that may have experience that will be worthwhile in helping me put this event together? Now, I have a lunchroom lady, and my lunchroom lady takes care of my food preparation and my food service. She makes that area of my event flawless and stress-free. Now, on that note, I would suggest that you specifically and deliberately handpick your leaders for the different areas. Maybe it's someone that has experience in that particular area. Maybe it's your parking. Maybe it's your entertainment. But there's someone that's creative, and there's someone that's able to lead and delegate in that situation. They will help to make your event a success. Now, you need to be creative when you're recruiting your workers. How many of you have put out a sign-up sheet, and a week before your event, you still don't have nearly the amount of volunteers that you need to pull your event off? Been there, done that. You need to be creative. You need to be aggressive. And maybe that's, you make a creative video and put out there asking for help. Maybe ask for a specific type of help. But how many of you have went to Walmart and bought Girl Scout cookies? I have. Now, if you'll notice, the groups that are successful are not the ones that have the table set off the side and they're just kind of there waiting for someone to buy their cookies. They're the ones that are waiting for you outside the door. And they're right there when you leave the door. They know you probably have some change in your pocket. Excuse me, sir, would you like to buy some Girl Scout cookies? And how many of us can say no to the Girl Scouts? I can't. I always at least buy a half dozen snacks or a half dozen boxes of cookies. Not because I have a problem. Don't judge me. Now, you also need to make your booking and your marketing decisions early. The reason I say that, if you need to decide what you're going to do marketing-wise. Do I want to do mail-outs? Do I want to do posters? Do I want to do radio spots, Facebook things? If those aren't areas that you have the resources or the capabilities to take care of yourself, you need to outsource that to someone who is extremely talented in those areas. So make those decisions early, begin that process early. Now, as far as your booking, there's 2 benefits to booking early. Number one, well, if it's during the summer months, you might not be able to book the particular item or resource that you need if you don't book it early. Also, we use, for an example, a local inflatable company that if I book early and I pay early, they actually give us a substantial discount. So that's something to bear in mind during your preparation stage.